Hey everybody, welcome to the channel, Tech with KG. My focus is trying to find you the best TV for the content that you actually consume. In this video, we will be doing a head-to-head comparison of the QN90A versus the Q90T. Now, to avoid making this a really long video, I'll be brief with each comparison, so you might want to re-watch it afterwards, pause it, or slow down certain examples if you need to. Every comparison clip or still image will be done with the same settings matching completely one for one on each TV. I'll note the mode that the TVs are in on the bottom of the screen. For this first example, I wanted to showcase some still images and clips from Aquaman. It was really important for me to bring in Aquaman as a comparison because this was really the first HDR movie that blew me away on the Samsung Q90T. This movie is capable of hitting the Q90T's peak brightness levels, and some scenes just get insanely bright, and the specular highlights really do shine through on the Q90T. The first time I watched it, I was really amazed. And if you haven't seen this movie in HDR, on a bright TV, I highly recommend it. So from this first clip, you can see Aquaman and Mira are walking through the desert, and I quickly noticed that the color on the QN90A here is just deeper and more vivid compared to the Q90T. It really popped so much more. Everything really looked good. The sky, the desert, it was impressive. Now if we pause here and we look at Mira's coat, you can see that there's so much more detail coming through on the QN90A. In fact, I think I prefer this scene a lot more on the QN90A in general. What do you guys think? A lot of this will be determined by personal preference, so you may have a different opinion than me, and that's definitely okay. Alright, let's move on to the next example. I want to bring your attention to a couple of comparisons where stars are involved. We're going to pause it right here. And let's talk about the loss of details on the QN90A. In particular, the stars. We can see that the Q90T, the local dimming, is doing a much better job with displaying stars than the QN90A is. The QN90A has a very aggressive local dimming behavior. Let's look at another shot with the stars and we'll go ahead and cycle through the local dimming options. As you can see on high local dimming, the Q90T is once again doing the better job here at displaying all of the stars. Switching now to standard, we will see more of the same thing, but we're starting to see more details are being brought back to the QN90A, though the Q90T still outshines it here. Next, we will be going to the low dimming option, and this is where most of the details are brought back into the picture, though still the QN90A is looking worse than the Q90T right here. This really personally shocked me because I thought more zones would provide a different outcome to this kind of scene. But really, that was not the case. Alright, let's move on to another movie clip. This time, we are taking a look at Gemini Man. On the QN90A, these clips really did get taken to another level, in my opinion. I definitely think that the QN90A here just looks better. In person, the image looked more realistic and it popped a lot more. I almost felt like I was watching HDR versus SDR. I don't know what it was about this movie, but the QN90A definitely just looked better here. And I think it really did show what the strength of the QN90A is. I thought the Q90T colors were a strength last year, but if you are a fan of a QLED persona that Samsung promotes, those bright, vivid pictures, I think the QN90A definitely might be the TV for you. I wouldn't be surprised if many other TVs on the market can even come close to the colors. They really pop, they're vivid, they look good, and I hope this is a difference you can see on camera, because to me, it was really huge in person. Take a look at Will Smith's face right here in this scene and tell me which one looks better to you. Go ahead and write in the comments which one you think looks better. I'll be curious to see how many different opinions there are on this scene. Next, let's take a look at an iconic scene from Jurassic Park. But before we do that, if you are enjoying this, please subscribe and hit the like button so we can get more eyes on this channel. Thank you so much. Alright, moving on to the T-Rex entry scene from Jurassic Park. I want you to take a look at the details on the faces in the scenes as we take note of the black levels on each TV. I really want you to look closely and tell me which scene is better. To me, it's really close, and there are times where I think the QN90A looks better, and then there's also times where I think the Q90T looks better. It is really kind of a personal preference thing, and I'm fighting back and forth on this scene. Which one I think looks better, I'm not really sure. They both look really good to me, and I think it's close, and this is kind of why I think that there is not a huge difference in the QN90A and the Q90T, but there is some significant differences. Hopefully that makes sense. Next, let's move on to gaming in game mode. I have a few clips I want you guys to look at. I know my first impressions video, I said the QN90A looked better than the Q90T, but after playing a few days, I don't think that it's so cut and dry. There are so many times where the QN90A definitely does look better, but there are also moments where the Q90T looks better, and there's just better shadow details in game mode. And it does go back and forth, and it really depends on which game I play. So I don't really know if there's a huge improvement on the QN90A's game mode, though there's times where it's bright and more vivid. For example, you could probably see in the video clips what I mean by that. This is a tough one for me. I was really convinced that the QN90A looked better, but after playing for a couple of days, there is not too much of a difference here. And I will say that one of the biggest differences I'll show you shortly, and also I think the other biggest difference is probably from VRR. I personally noticed that VRR game mode on the QN90A just looked better than the Q90T's VRR game mode. And VRR game mode on the QN90A is a different picture mode than regular game mode. So when you do put it in VRR for the first time, you're gonna want to change your settings a little bit because contrast enhancer will be on, I believe, so you want to check for that. One thing I did notice in game mode was that the Q90T had more trouble with blooming on certain games. The game here is Tetris Effect, and this game has a lot of particles, and it does have a lot of bright images suddenly on a black background, and sometimes that often does create blooming. However, on the QN90A, I thought it handled it really well. Yes, there was definitely some detail lost on the particle effects, similar to what you see with stars, but I didn't see very much blooming at all. However, on the Q90T, I did see occasional blooming. But that's not to say the Q90T is bad with black levels. You know, loading screens, menu screens, really, that's where you can see the blooming a lot. Games like Tetris Effect really do kind of present the same challenges as a menu screen or a loading screen does for the Q90T. With that said, I will have a full in-depth QN90A gaming only video coming soon as well, so stay tuned and I'll break down all of the gaming features with the QN90A and pretty much everything you need to know about gaming. Alright, so while those clips are playing, let's take a look at the differences on these TVs. What improvements does the QN90A have other than an entirely different backlight system, the mini LED technology? So the QN90A has a ATSC 3.0 next-gen TV tuner, which is next-gen broadcast. It adds FreeSync Premium Pro instead of regular FreeSync Premium. There is the game bar, which, to be honest with you, really doesn't do too much except for display some game settings. Unless you're a PC gamer, then that's where the cool stuff comes in, and you can actually change the aspect ratio of your game. Without having one of those 21:9 or 32:9 monitors, you could just put it on your TV in that aspect ratio. Pretty cool. It also has improvements to multi-view with added features, some brand new fitness features, and a lot of really nice accessibility options that are really great additions in my opinion. It's really awesome to see Samsung add some of these accessibility options, so good job, Samsung. Oh yeah, there's also this new fancy controller that charges with the sunlight or your room's light, but I'll be honest with you, I don't think I've ever charged the batteries on the Q90T's remote once, but at least it'll be more environmental friendly. So I guess there's that. I might have missed some things, and if I did, my apologies. Okay, so when it's all said and done, what do I think? Would I buy the Q90T or the QN90A? If I had to pick today, and I didn't own either, I think if they're the same price, I would probably jump on the QN90A. Although there are some issues with local dimming that leads to black crush, detail loss, and the occasional blooming, I really do like the picture quality, and I think most scenes just popped more than the Q90T, and it really fit my personal preference when it comes to a TV more. That said, you can probably get a really good deal on the Q90T really soon, and I still think that is a great TV, and it only has slightly worse image quality than the QN90A. It does a better job with local dimming and blooming right now, and I would definitely think about what matters to you the most. Personally, I am very happy with the Q90T, and there's no reason for me to upgrade it as my main TV anytime soon, as it is an excellent TV for movies and gaming. I still highly recommend it. So if it's on sale, you might want to consider it. It's a tough choice for sure. Black levels on both TV are the best you can get today without owning an OLED, and yeah, they're both fantastic TVs. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Also, stay tuned because there is a reflection test right after the sign off. If you guys could share this on any social media channels, that'd be great. Help grow the audience, help grow the community. And it really is turning into a great community. It's almost like a little mini message board down there in the comments section. I love responding to all of the questions and comments. It's one of my favorite things to do in the day, so please keep it up. Stay tuned for the next video. It will be a QN90A gaming review, and then shortly after that, we will have the wrap-up QN90A final review. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one.